Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. The Viking here, of course, and I have some Wonder Woman updates for you guys, and maybe something got to do with Zack Snyder's movies. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. But Patty Jenkins, of course, is doing a lot of press right now because Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out in America in theaters on the 25th of December and also on HBO Max. But if you're around the world, I don't know exactly where you are, guys. Let me know in the comments. But I get to see the movie on December 16th, which is 2 days from now, and I'm pretty pumped for that. I get to see it on the big screen in theaters. Now, not everybody's like me. This time last year I was very sick. I don't know if it was COVID-19 or what it was, but I was very, very sick, and I've done a lot of things to kind of manage my health since then, fitness-wise, diet and all that kind of things, and I feel pretty strong and stuff like that to go out into the public, and especially in movie theatre. So I know some of you guys may be vulnerable to getting sick. You'll feel comfortable going to large crowds, going to cinemas and stuff, so hopefully you guys get to see it at home at some stage in a comfortable environment for you. But I get to see it on the 16th, 2 days from now. I absolutely can't wait. But Patty Jenkins, of course, doing her interviews, doing her press tour. She was on the Cinema Blend podcast, Real Blend, okay? Sean O'Connell, of course, is the co-host of that, the writer of the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut book, which will come out in a few months. Can't wait for that. I'm in it as well, so I can't wait to read myself in a book, but also the other interesting stories around the Snyder Cut community over the last 3 years. So that's going to be pretty fascinating. But the question that Sean O'Connell and the rest of the team put towards Patty Jenkins was the 2017 theatrical cut of Justice League, and what was her opinion, what's her viewpoint of that movie. And this is what she had to say. The Justice League, no, I think that's all of us DC directors tossed that one out just as much as the fans did. But also, I felt that version contradicted my first movie in many ways, and this current movie, which I was already in production on, so then what are you going to do? I was like, you would have to play ball in both directions in order for that to work. The only thing I have done, and I've always tried to do, is I knew when Zack was doing Justice League, where she sort of ends up, so I always tried, like, I didn't change her suit because I don't want to contradict his films, you know, but yet I have to do my own film. He's been very supportive of that, and so I think that of Justice League was kind of an outlier. They were trying to turn one thing into kind of another, and so then it becomes, I don't recognize half of these characters, I'm not sure what's going on. So she's pretty much saying that all the DC directors saw Justice League 2017 and said, look, that's not how those characters are supposed to be portrayed. We don't understand these characters, we don't understand the story, so let's just toss that out. So they didn't really look at it as canon. Now, Aquaman, when it came out, it had a lot of elements similar to Justice League 17, kind of the humor and stuff. But I will say James Wan did a very good job of that movie. I like that movie, but it also has themes to Zack Snyder movies, and it's also its own thing as well, and it cracked $1 billion, and it was a huge success. But it was nothing like Justice League 17 in terms of the campiness and stuff like that. Justice League 17 is a joke of a film, but Aquaman was done much better. And Wonder Woman 84 was in production when that movie kind of came out and stuff like that. They were getting ready to shoot it, they were shooting certain scenes, they had their story, their script ready, and the Justice League 17 film comes out and contradicts some of that. So Patty Jenkins was like, which source material do I stick to? Do I stick to the Batman v Superman, the Man of Steel that Zack Snyder was doing, or do I have to take elements from the 2017 version from Josh Whedon and whoever else was involved with that? So it looks like she just tried to do her own thing with Wonder Woman 84, because there was a lot of confusion at that time, and there was, about the DC universe and what was going to actually happen. Zack Snyder was gone away from it big time, so there was kind of doubts about how this universe was going to be expanded. And then Walter Hamada came out and said, we're just going to concentrate on solo movies after Justice League. So that was probably a lot to do with the story of Wonder Woman 84, and maybe the reason that some of the themes and tones are a little bit different than Zack Snyder's world. And then Patty Jenkins was like, kind of, which one do I cater to? But it's pretty cool that they just tossed that one out straight away, and she doesn't recognize those characters. She didn't want to try and contradict Zack Snyder's movies, but she also wants to try and do her own thing, which is 100% fine. But my interpretation of all this is that when Wonder Woman 84 was getting ready to shoot its movie, or was shooting its movie, Justice League 17 kind of put some like bumps in the way, because that movie was completely different from Man of Steel, completely different from Batman v Superman, so we didn't really know what was going on in the DC universe. And it looks like Patty Jenkins didn't know either, so she just decided to do her own thing in her own movie, but not try and step away too much from what Zack Snyder was doing in his Justice League movie if that had come out. But it's good to see her now talking positively about Zack Snyder, the Justice League movie and stuff like that, and talking down on the 17 version. And like people say, why is she coming out now? Why is she kind of standing up now? Well, the thing is, guys, she works for Warner Brothers. Like, she's not going to go against them. The same with most of the actors. They're not going to come out and call out Warner Brothers. Now, Jason Momoa did it after a time, Ray Fisher did it at a time as well. But these actors, these people are different. They have families, they have money they need to get, so they're not going to go against a big, massive studio. Patty Jenkins had to concentrate on her own movie. Warner Brothers was financing that. What's the point of her coming out and calling out bullshit on Warner Brothers? Same with Henry Cavill. He's trying to get a new contract. He wants to play the character again. The worst thing he could possibly do is come out and say, Warner Brothers, you're a piece of shit. You know, so we need to put ourselves and look at other people and their kind of where they're standing. You know, we don't know what's going on in their own personal life. They may need money, they may need stuff like that, so we can't contradict and say, look, that person's a piece of shit because they never said anything. We just don't know what's going on in their own personal lives, guys, and that's kind of my viewpoint about that. But now, since the Snyder Cut is announced and coming in 2021, that seems to be the new essence of Justice League. Patty Jenkins is more comfortable talking against Warner Brothers and the 2017 version, which I think has a lot to do with it. But it's cool that she tossed that movie out and she's going to do her own thing in Wonder Woman 84. But it looks like to me it's kind of more in the essence of what Zack Snyder had planned for the future of the DC universe. Now, some of the critics have got to see Wonder Woman 84 already. They haven't been able to put out a spoiler review or a big review yet. The embargo doesn't lift until tomorrow, I think midnight tomorrow night. So we'll get to see what the critics are saying. But so far, they've been positive. People are really raving about it, saying it's pretty good, it's light, it's funny, there's some emotional moments as well. And so it's going to probably be a critical hit once again, much like the first Wonder Woman. But the box office won't be as high because the international box office won't be as high because people are afraid to go to theaters. In America, you can watch at home. So things like that will come into consideration when looking at the box office of Wonder Woman 84. But it looks like it's already going to be a hit with critics. Now, this movie, is it going to be different from the first movie? It probably is. Now, Robert Meyer Burnett, if you know him from the John Campea show, he also has his own YouTube channel. He said he heard from set that this film is very different from the very first movie. Now, you can probably tell a lot of that by the trailer alone. It looks different. It's brighter. The suit looks a little bit different. Things like that don't add up to the first movie, but we have to wait until we actually see it. Now, Grace Randolph, of course, huge YouTuber, has got to see the movie, and this was her initial reaction. I've seen Wonder Woman 1984. It's unapologetically Wonder Woman in all her glory, beauty, heart, style, and one of Zimmer's best scores. That's pretty cool if that's the case. Jenkins goes full Donner, complete 180 from the 2017 film. So Grace confirming that again, and 180 from the 2017 film. I hope people are open to the pivot. Also, I cried a lot. Review Tuesday at 12 p.m. So that's when the embargo drops. So even Grace is saying that's a completely 180 from the 2017 film. Now, what way is this a 180? Now, it does look darker from 2017 film in terms of how it's shot. But is there more comedic moments? Is there more laugh out moments? Is there more kind of winks to the camera? Is there more stuff like that? We won't know until we actually see the film. But I hope it works. I hope it's not a completely disastrous thing that they're doing here. But the reason that I'm okay with it is because Patty Jenkins is the director, much like the first one. It's not like somebody came in and is trying to change the tone. This is her decision at the end of the day, and if she thinks it's going to work, then it's probably going to work. Now, why is she going different from the 2017 film so much? Maybe because the story plays into it. Maybe because of the 80s vibe. There's a reason for the screen, for the movie, for the shots to be a little bit brighter and a little bit more kind of vibey and stuff like that to cater towards audiences. Maybe. We can't really comment until we see the movie. Now, she references Donner here as well. Now, the Superman Donner movies are universally loved. They really, really are. Myself, I'm not a biggest fan of that incarnation of Superman. I prefer the Henry Cavill one. But that had an audience, it catered to it, and it worked well for what it was doing. And you could see that was Donner's full vision behind it, and it worked. So if this is kind of Patty Jenkins' interpretation of Donner's Superman in terms of Wonder Woman, bright, being a leader, standing up against these things, then it's probably going to work. But Zack Snyder's movies do that also. They just have a lot of extra baggage on it. And for me, Zack Snyder makes it work very, very well. But Patty Jenkins is her own director, and she deserves to be able to do her own vision and her own thing. So I hope it ends up working in the end. I hope that the movie is pretty good. But I'll know straight away fairly soon on Wednesday. And guys, I'll do a review because the embargo will be lifted. I might do a spoiler review and I might do a non-spoiler review because you guys will, I don't want to spoil it for you, of course, and you guys might not get to see it for a few weeks, so that's pretty interesting. But Grace Randolph also had this to say. Okay, one more tidbit for Wonder Woman 1984. It's kind of Pedro Pascal's movie. His arc is incredible and most developed. No more info until my review on Tuesday. I can't wait to do the watch along. Okay, so Pedro Pascal, I love him. I'm starting to really love him as an actor, especially in The Mandalorian and stuff like that. But even in these trailers, he seems like a pretty cool villain, and he seems like he's going to be pretty unique. And the DC villains are always the best kind of villains, so I'm sure we're in for an awesome ride, and I can't wait to see Pedro Pascal as the villain. But it's his movie, so that's pretty interesting as well, in a movie that has Cheetah also. So guys, that's pretty cool. It's great that Patty Jenkins is throwing out the 2017 version of Justice League, but this movie is going to be a lot different from her version of the first one, which does have me very curious in what way is it different, or are the critics just being a little bit dramatic here in terms of what they're talking about because it just looks a little bit brighter instead of the aesthetic that Zack Snyder uses in his movies. But Zack Snyder is a producer on this movie as well. His production company is on this movie, and he said he has loved the movie as well, but he's not going to come out and say he hates it anyway, so we'll have to wait and see for ourselves to see if we like it. There is a virtual premiere going to be happening as well in a few days. I think Tuesday or Wednesday, and Zack Snyder himself will be added. So Patty Jenkins came out and clarified that it's not actually showing the movie. It's just like a premiere, so it's like a virtual premiere, like, you know, the women that have the red carpet and the interviews on the red carpet. That's what it's basically going to be. It's probably just going to be a Zoom call. Maybe them in some suits, maybe them all dressed up and just talking about some of their favorite Wonder Woman moments while directing 84, getting in the process for it. So that's going to be pretty cool. And it's cool that Zack Snyder is also there. Now, with Wonder Woman 84, some things that we do know is Zimmer's score is going to be used a lot as well. It's supposed to be pretty good. There's going to be some score elements taken from Batman v Superman and brought into this movie. So what way does that happen? Because Batman v Superman takes place in 2016 or 2018 or whatever year that takes place, and Wonder Woman 84 is in the 80s. So why is that score being reused again? The Beautiful Lies score that was used at the start of Batman v Superman. So that has me very, very interested, especially since that score was around Bruce's parents dying. So what is going on there? So I can't wait to see. Maybe it's just a little tidbit and stuff like that. Maybe it's just a little small bit of the score put into a bigger score. So we'll have to wait and see. Is there a flashback? Does Flash pop up and go through all the different timelines and we get to see them again or something like that? Who knows? We do know that there is a post-credit scene in this as well, which is going to be pretty interesting for a DC movie to have a post-credit scene. Zack Snyder himself, I think, said he's not a big fan of post-credit scenes. So why is there one in Wonder Woman 84? And what does it set up or what does it close off? So that's going to be pretty interesting as well. The virtual premiere, Zack Snyder is going to be there, and it looks like Zack Snyder is evolving back into the DC universe in some way. His movie's coming out next year. He's doing a remastering of Batman v Superman, which I'll talk about in a second. And yeah, is he being ushered back in as the head of DC? I don't know if Zack Snyder wants that. I think he just wants to tell his own 5-story arc if that's what he gets to do. But it's cool that he's being brought into like the press tour, into the talks of Wonder Woman 84. And that's cool for us DC fans to see Zack Snyder back in the hot seat. And hopefully, who knows, if Zack Snyder's Justice League is a success, it could branch off into bigger movies, spin-offs, the Deathstroke, the Batman stuff that I've already talked about before in the past. Those are the kind of projects that we want to see. And maybe Zack Snyder, maybe DC understand that Zack Snyder has a huge fan base, and maybe his vision wasn't as bad as they originally thought, and now that the old heads are gone out of DC and the newer heads are kind of in there and thinking, while he's a huge fan base, he could attract a lot of people. And maybe that's a reason why Zack Snyder himself is going to be at the virtual premiere, is because they know Zack Snyder's fans will show up wherever Zack Snyder is, and that brings a lot of attraction to Wonder Woman 84. That brings a lot of attraction to that premiere, and it might get people talking even more about the movie. And if there is tidbits, if they're starting to come out and say, yeah, there's a score from Batman v Superman, there's a post-credit scene, yeah, people might be thinking, are they restoring the Snyderverse? Is hashtag restore the Snyderverse officially happening? Well, us Zack Snyder fans will definitely show up to see what exactly they're doing, and maybe that's a bit of the marketing ploy that they're thinking for Wonder Woman 84. We need as much eyes as possible on this, and it's a big chance for us to get the Snyder fans involved with Zack Snyder showing up as a producer and stuff like that. So hopefully it all works out. But Wonder Woman 84, all I want it to be is a good movie. I'm not needy in terms of it needs to reference this movie or reference that movie. It needs to have a character pop up. I'm really not. Because I've said before, the DC universe is different from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The DC world is a multiverse. Anybody can pop up. Anything can happen. You can have your Justice League movie. It doesn't have to be canon to the solo movies. Those characters can do their own things. They can reference and take parts of the team-up movies if they want, but they don't have to. Aquaman didn't do it. It didn't have much reference to the 2017 Justice League. Maybe that was deliberate because that movie is terrible and they tossed it out. Or maybe because they just wanted to tell their own story. And Aquaman does take place right after the Snyder Cut, and we'll get to see that in the Snyder Cut. So that's pretty interesting as well. And Wonder Woman 1984, I think, is just its own thing that has little references, that has little tidbits to Batman v Superman and Snyder's overall DC world, but not clawing onto it and saying, oh look, we're part of this universe. It's doing its own thing. So guys, I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984. I get to see it Wednesday. Awesome stuff for me, and I'll let you guys know what I think. I'll do a spoiler, non-spoiler review. But guys, the last bit of topic I want to talk about as well is Batman v Superman is getting out IMAX remastering. Now Zack Snyder seems to be... everything seems to be going pretty well for him right now. It seems that he can't do wrong. And it looks like HBO Max or Warner Brothers or whatever is giving him what he wants. He's getting to shoot his edition of photography. He got to do that a few weeks ago for Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to get to see that in 2021. March, maybe. That's the rumours that's going around. March, and I think it will be March as well. I did a video about that, talking about why I think it's March, because going by a lot of his other releases, and it's his birth month as well, so maybe it's going to be a great month that way. But it's getting a remastering, so basically an IMAX version of Batman v Superman. So what does that mean? Well, basically it just means, so if you have my frame here right now, and if I was to move the camera up or have a wider shot, you get to see more what's going on. And why is that important? Well, in certain scenes in movies, they're shot in an IMAX way. They're shot in a 4:3 ratio. But sometimes it's cut down and cropped because of the theatrical experience, so you lose out in some of the frame. So the Doomsday, or the Nightmare sequence, I should say, when Batman is looking out into the city, the Omega symbol is there, and he's looking through his binoculars, then from behind you get a bigger shot of what he's actually looking at. It brings in the city, but if you're watching it in theaters, you only get to see the top over Batman's head, so you're missing out on some important shots. Now, Zack Snyder has been liking some posts about people talking about some deleted scenes popping up in this new remastered version, and Zack Snyder has been liking them, but that isn't confirmation that it's going to happen. But saying that, Zack Snyder has gone back, he's touched up his things before. Look at recently at the Justice League trailers, the black and white version, the coloured version, the one with more scenes in it, you know, so who's to say that he wouldn't put an extra little bit of a scene somewhere, or an extra second here or there in the remastered version of Batman v Superman, to say, look, yeah, that's what I would have did if I got to do my full vision. But the Ultimate Edition, of course, of Batman v Superman is the one edition to watch. But now that it's getting a remastering, we'll get to see more of the shots, more of the screen. So there might be some Easter eggs, some references, some just cool symbolism that we missed out in theaters, or missed out watching it at home on the Ultimate Edition, that we'll get to see in the remastered version. I think they messed up a bit of the color grading as well when they released the Ultimate Edition out as well on Blu-ray. So that's going to be fixed up. It's going to get a recoloring, more kind of look at the scenes, maybe some extra shots as well incorporated into that. And so that's going to be pretty cool. So I can't wait for that, and hopefully it comes out on an international Blu-ray release. I hope maybe I'll get some theater release as well in some places in America, limited release, but hopefully it gets a universal Blu-ray so we can add it to our collection. But Zack Snyder is going through a great time right now. His movie's coming out, he's remastering stuff, so hopefully all goes well, and I can't wait to watch Wonder Woman 1984. Guys, get in the comments, let me know your thoughts on Patty Jenkinson's comments on Justice League as a whole. What do you think about this kind of change in tone for Wonder Woman 1984? Are you scared, or are you just confident Patty can make it work? What do you think of Zack Snyder getting a remastering of his movie? Pedro Pascal, the star of this movie as well. Some score from Hans Zimmer, some score from Batman v Superman incorporated into this movie. It's going to be a pretty interesting watch. And finally, we get to see a new DC movie. And yeah, guys, it's a great time to be a DC fan. I've been keep saying this. It's a great time to be a comic book movie fan in general. You should try and love both. There's something there for everybody, but I know the DC kind of caters a little bit more to us people who like that kind of deeper storytelling a lot more. But guys, get in the comments, like, subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, why aren't you? And if you already are a subscriber, guys, I appreciate you watching as many videos as you do. I really enjoy the love. And if you're watching on Instagram a little bit later as well, the videos go up there too. Follow me on Instagram, that's all in the description. A lot of the videos go up there and they get great engagement too from a new kind of people who don't really watch the YouTube videos. So guys, thank you very much. Have some fun. See you later. Watch something cool. Watch something. Don't watch Justice League 17 though. Unless maybe that's a guilty pleasure or that's your kink or something. But maybe. I don't know what you're into. But guys, see you later.